Thank you guys once again for stopping by. I appreciate you guys and hope your day was okay. I what next on this matter regarding to grant? What is the next action? Is it time for us to celebrate? Because this VN, this guy is hitting hard and saying a lot of things and how things should be and this and this, blah blah blah. You know, normal stuff. But we need to keep hope alive. But I want you guys to uh, listen to it and let's continue this conversation in the comment section. If this is your first time coming to my channel, please subscribe and share this video as well. Let's continue this conversation. Let's continue this conversation in the comment section, guys. Appreciate you guys and see you in my next post. And bye for now.
Recently, the grant ecosystem have witnessed inflammatory voice notes circulated across the various WhatsApps and the Telegram platforms, either by the foot soldiers or grant promoters themselves, in an attempt to protect and secure their interests in the ecosystem. And this has actually left grant subscribers to question the profits that these foot soldiers and grant promoters are gaining or profiting in this whole inflammatory voice note or state of degenerative chaos in the ecosystem. One thing is certain: there may be chaos out there in the grant ecosystem, but the process of disbursement is on a very sustainable, steady, progressive state. Nothing is upsetting the arrangement for disbursement to take place. But one unfortunate situation in this whole chaos is there are some people wedging into this war without knowing the actual reason for the war. And it's quite disturbing why some people will jump or wedge into a war they know no reason of the war being launched or started in the first instance. Grant subscribers have to identify their interest in all of this. What is your expectation? What is your interest in promoting the UAAG or the AGPGN? If you don't define this interest critically, you'll be wedging into a fight you know no reason of it. Are you interested in the UAAG as a group, or Apostle Ambassador Ken as an individual, or the AGPGN, or you are interested in the alert of this grant in your bank account? When you see some foot soldiers defending the group they belong to, they have an interest they are securing or fighting to protect. For example, some of these foot soldiers have sold bundles and slots for NGOs or sold codes to NGOs that are not even in the app. And their fear is that if it is not their group that disperses the grant, these people they sold the slot or codes to will not receive their alert. Hence, they have to fight with their last drop of blood to ensure it is their group that disperses the grant, irrespective of the damages that this fight can cause to the generality of subscribers in the ecosystem. That is why I'm asking, what is your own reason for wedging into this fight for supporting UAAG or AGPGN? If you are falling among the audience of subscribers or defenders that are saying Apostle Ken is the one to disperse this grant, UAAG is the one to disperse this grant, Apostle Ken's name is in the document, the first question you should ask yourself is, have you seen the document bearing Apostle Ken's name? Or is this grant going to be dispersed UAAG grant? So if this grant to be disbursed is not UAAG grant, then what is the connection between the UAAG and the UAAG country director to this grant that is going to be disbursed? Is any member of the UAAG or its country director a trustee in the NGO that are about disbursing these grants? Because it takes being a trustee or a president or a chairman of a given NGO before you can be the country director disbursing the grants attracted or secured by such NGO. This is a country bounded by constitution. Like they always say, Nigeria is not a banana republic where you want to become a country director of an organization where you are not a member of, a trustee of, or a chairman or president of. We can't be fighting baseless fight in the ecosystem. Unfortunately, there is another audience of subscribers that are fighting or resisting palliative. Yes, the UAAG promised grant to the masses, while the AGPGN promised palliative. Now, some people are already asking, are they disbursing palliative or grants if it is the AGPGN? Some have accepted that the AGPGN should disburse it to the masses, but they should disburse grants, not palliative. There are certain secret information that is still not in the public domain for subscribers to know. It's a scenario of you can't give what you don't have. For 8 years, we have dwelled in the ecosystem. Several grant promoters from the era of SEM, Telpacon, Theobarth Global Foundation promising millions and billions of naira to grant subscribers or recipients. But have we seen the millions of naira that have been lingering in the ecosystem for more than 8 years? Then why should we resist the palliative rather than embrace it with open arms? At least for the first time in the history of Nigerian grant ecosystem, people will go home with something, at least to recover from the expenses they have made for years, and equally make more benefit to start out a life from. Because as far as we know, the MOU of this grant permits recipients to receive alert in about 5 or 10 NGOs. Therefore, even if it is a palliative per se, when you receive in 5 places or 10 places, it will definitely become a meaningful sum to start out a business or a venture with. So we haven't even seen the palliative, and the subscribers are already resisting it. And this is why we should guide against elements of greed in the side of the masses. Yes, the masses are accusing the grant promoters or grant handler of being greedy in interest. But again, the masses are equally exhibiting greedy intent in resisting palliative that are being promised by the audience of the AGPGN. Have we identified our interest in this ecosystem after 8 years? Hence, we will not keep fighting for futile causes that at the end of them will retire home empty-handed. We are fighting at this moment to ensure we don't return home empty-handed, as it has always been the case in the ecosystem for the past 8 to 10 years. When we are insisting that it must be the UAAG or the AGPGN that should disburse the grants to the masses, we again need to identify the decisions of the government. The AGPGN and the UAAG have time and again intimated the masses that they are under government authority in this. What is government decision in the entire matter? Is it for the UAAG to disburse or the AGPGN? Because as far as we all know, you are equally aware of, the UAAG country director himself in the last meeting with partners stated that because of all this conflict existing between the UAAG and the AGPGN, the government authority decided to make these grants their own. Listen to the VN yourself.
But the only difference now is all this accusation, government decide to make it their grant. They took over. That is where Abasi comes in. To be in charge of the grant, to be reporting to government, to oversee whatever we are going to do. I am still in the system of this grant. If anybody tells you that I'm not there, he's just deceiving you. I'm in charge.
Government decided to make these grants their own. They take over, and that is where Obasi comes in. He now work with us, the grant handler, and report back to the government. But at the end, he stated that, but he is still in charge. How can government take over something and a private individual is still in charge? And again, for those that are saying this is UAAG grant or this grant belongs to the UAAG or Apostle Ken is the one to disburse this grant, ask yourself, why should the federal government take over a grant that belongs to a non-governmental institution? This still reveals or leaves grant subscribers and the masses a question: which grant are we expecting? Is it a grant that was attracted by a non-governmental institution? So what are the circumstances surrounding the grant of a non-governmental institution that warrant the federal government to take over and disburse to the masses? This is the more reason why the masses should not be pressing forward on whose group should disburse the grant. If the government wanted these two groups to disburse the money, they should have picked one of the members of the UAAG or the AGPGN to disburse the grants to the masses. But the government picked neutral bodies, a neutral identity, to sit as the chairman of the disbursement committee. That is why I ask, what are you looking for? What is your interest in this? If the government has picked someone and any member of the two groups are insisting that they must be in charge, they want to lobby the government to still give them to disburse, you should begin to question this decision of the grant handler. Why don't we accept the decision of the government? Hence, the boat must move forward, although the ecosystem is already moving forward towards disbursement. All this fight is still in the WhatsApps and Telegram groups, not on the disbursement decision-making committee. Therefore, there is no need even the masses defending anyone, because the defense has nothing to do to affect the decision of the government. As a beneficiary, your interest is not on whoever disburses, but the alert in your account, whether it is a palliative or grant. After all, so many have been here for years and retire home empty-handed. The AGPGN are promising palliative while the UAAG are promising grants. Let the AGPGN disburse their own palliative to the masses and allow UAAG to disburse their grants to the masses. Why are we against disbursement of palliative in the first instance? If you see a palliative and it is 100, 300 or 500,000, won't you accept it? So those that are saying we don't want palliative, is it not better than nothing at all? So allow them, whatever they have. We are open to the alerts, whether palliative or grant. Don't know why people should be resisting money in the first instance. Know the reason for the fight before wedging into it. If you can hear some members of the AGPGN saying that they've spent more than 8 to 10 months seeking for a document that bears Apostle Ken as the country director of the UAAG grant, and they couldn't identify it before they were able to identify a different grant, not UAAG. For those that are saying Apostle Ken or the UAAG are the one to disburse this grant, December 2022, heading towards March 2023, Apostle Ken appeared in the ecosystem immediately after the collapse of the Theobarth grant and revealed that there is a document his name is on. He is being briefed that his name is on a document to disburse grant called the UAAG grant. After then, he set up a committee to discover this document where it is and disburse this grant. They have been there for months, and at the end, the UAAG and the AGPGN worked together collaboratively to discover the document that bears Apostle Ken as the country director to disburse UAAG grant. And when they couldn't find it, they discovered Pastor John, who eventually discovered another grant called the UAA's grant. When you hear some members of the AGPGN saying that they discovered a grant that did not have the name of the country director on it, some people don't understand. Some have started saying, how can a grant come without a name on it? A grant came, but the owner of that grant is deceased. You are aware of the story. Now, how do you want to become a country director of a grant you did not attract? This particular area holds quite sensitive information that the public, when you discover the information, you will not be fighting for anyone to be a country director to disburse such a grant. Now, after they discover this grant, remember at a certain time, the verification exercise was scheduled and cancelled. The member of the UAAs cancelled this verification exercise because they don't want a neutral body to dabble into their own activity. We can recall that they stated that Apostle Ken is not a member of UAAs. As such, he should not be the one to disburse their own grants. I think they took the case to court. So along the process, instead of losing out, the AGPGN looked for alternatives of still disbursing the grant. So if the owner of the grant, Professor Abraham Brahmi, is dead and the second signatory is dead, then there are constitutional backup conditions for any other person to disburse this grant. Who are the trustee of the UAAs? Because when the president or the vice are no more alive, there are limitations. There are clauses in Form C2 and C7 of the NGO Constitution that warrant or grant certain authority to some people in the group to disburse the grant. Is any member of the current UAAG a member of UAAs? Was Apostle Ken a member or a trustee in the UAAs? The answer is no. So if he is not a member of UAAs, the next question, as far as we know, the next person or authority that can take charge of the activity of such a non-governmental body should either be other trustees or next of kin to the founder of the NGO. What the grant promoters have spent time doing all this while is to seek for this next of kin. It might be the son or the wife of the deceased. These are all shady or cloudy scenarios that the masses doesn't know. And the masses don't even know how the federal government come into a state of choosing a neutral body to disburse the grant. They want to truly help the masses. We don't know if the trustees or the next of kin are available and willing to append signature for disbursement to take place. We don't know if the federal government are deploying their executive powers just to help the masses, because it is grant for the masses, although it belongs to a non-governmental body. Therefore, the members of the public will not be sitting, promoting or questioning the decision of the government, as far as Apostle Ken have stated that government have decided to take over and appoint someone as the chairman to oversee disbursement. Then the next decision should be all the grant promoters and subscribers supporting this person to disburse the grant, not resisting. So when you keep hearing statements of we are in charge, yes, we are not saying that the UAAG or the AGPGN are no more in charge. Time and again, the AGPGN have stated that they are using the UAAG verified data to disburse the grant. The data that NGO participated in the screening and verification exercise at Abuja. So why should there be an element of fear if they are using the verified NGO data to disburse the grant? We should rather join hands with whoever or support whoever the federal government chooses instead of resisting it. I know the resistance is purely on the online platforms, not on the physical committee saddled with the responsibility of overseeing this disbursement. Therefore, some people should stop troubling themselves. So I know some people are thinking this inflammatory voice note, these toxic responses from all factions, the foot soldiers, will delay disbursement. It can only delay disbursement or even stop disbursement if they go into extreme of taking lives of fellow promoters or foot soldiers. Because I know we are in Nigeria, some people might have planned of consulting herbalists to evacuate some people in the circle so they take over or take charge. But those will be extreme situations. A grant that we know nothing about, that we are only witness to it. We are trying to exterminate others just to take charge of it. How much more if we were the one that went outside the country to undergo the pains and the expenses of attracting it to the country? that means it will be a purely tribal or factional thing. If none of these people contributed to attracting the grants to the country, why should they lay authority over it? That is why we should not side people that insist on taking charge of the disbursement, rather supporting the authority of the government for the money to be disbursed. So the next protest from the masses should be allow the decision of the government on disbursement to stand, not resist it. As far as this ecosystem is concerned, I'm not seeing the AGPGN resisting the authority or decision of the federal government. I'm just seeing the whole resistance from the camp of the UAAG. Irrespective of who disburses, what matters is the alert in their bank account. What matters is the alert in our bank account. If there is anyone to take credit for the entire disbursement success, then it should be the AGPGN, because they are the one that finally successfully discover Pastor John, the AIG and the Hajia, who eventually connect them to physical government authority to approve the entire disbursement process. But in this case, they are not even laying claims in the initial part of it. When they were requested to profile a country director to disburse the grant, they profile Apostle Ambassador Ken Wakama, and along the line, things falls apart, and the federal government decides to profile another neutral body to disburse the grant. Then the decision of the federal government stands, and is still standing. The resistance is not affecting this government decision. Besides, Apostle Ambassador Ken is still carried along because his data is the one being used for disbursement. Therefore, there is no need of saying Apostle Ambassador Ken's name is removed. You were working to profile him to disburse the grant. Why do you later remove him? These people that are asking these questions don't actually understand the concept behind this. What is the meaning of removal when the whole data used for the entire activity is belonging to the UAAG or the Apostle Ambassador Ken? So this removal should not be projected in the ecosystem. The federal government decided to present a neutral body that using Apostle Ken's data. So technically, Apostle Ambassador Ken is not removed as being projected by the supporters. Rather, he is being carried along through the adoption of his data for the disbursement activity. For those that are speaking angrily in the voice note circulating in the platforms, what are they angry for? Is their anger being awakened because disbursement is delayed, or because their own group are not being selected for disbursement? When people begin to be angry for selfish or cabal interest, then that has defeated the entire aim of this grant for the masses. Ask yourself, is your anger being awakened because the grant has been unprecedentedly delayed for years and people are starving in the country? People are already dying because they don't have money to treat themselves? Or is awakened because it is not your group that are being selected to disburse the grant? When we begin to place the interest of the masses above personal or cabal interest, then we know we are true humanists, true patriots, fighting for the masses. But as long as we keep promoting self or group aspirations, then we are not fighting for the masses like we claim. Actions of neutrality, of accepting whatever decision is taken, irrespective of if it is interesting to us or not, these actions will prove we are actually fighting for the masses. The holiday has ended in Monday and Tuesday and work has resumed again. There were certain structures that were set up to facilitate disbursement. You are aware of splitting the country into 6 regions: the Northeast, Northwest, North Central, Southwest, Southeast, and South-South. This week will witness the appointment of certain authorities into these structures, into these regions, to coordinate the regions and the states. The process of disbursement has commenced since the last Monday, 10th of June 2024. So it continues as work resumes as holiday ended. Immediately, authorities has been appointed to oversee these regional and state positions. Then the next is adoption of the data of the UAAG and the AGPGN. Technically, the process of disbursement is already ongoing. Nobody will come to the public and tell you disbursement is going to start tomorrow, Thursday or Friday, for security reasons. But know that the disbursement processes is activated and ongoing. Stop giving ears to informations that will aggravate your health state. Disbursement processes is activated. For a few days, the money will drop into our bank account. This is the only grant that has endured the resistance and still progress to the state where government set authorities and involve the NFIU and humanitarian agencies alongside the CBN to checkmate the process and even oversee the entire process. These institutions are ready to ensure the facilitated disbursement process. So it's no more something that you are being told. Walk into the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and make investigation for yourself. Documents are everywhere, all preparing towards the monies coming to the account. The other day, bank has been communicated. If you have a banker, you can seek this. Some bank authorities are aware that accounts will be receiving high influx of cash in days ahead, and they have been given instructions, specific security instructions on how to handle such accounts immediately the money drops. Those that are having issues of banks liquidated by CBN, be rest assured an avenue will be provided for you to change those banks, especially those that are customers of heritage banks liquidated. The activity of disbursement is ongoing. Any moment from now, you will receive specific instructions on what you should do. The target or expectation is not on the palliative or the grant. Whatsoever comes, we all bow on our knees and thank God for finally receiving an alert that haven't happened in this Nigerian grant ecosystem for the past 8 to 9 years ago. So stop troubling yourself. Pray for those that are saddled with the responsibility of disbursement to remain alive, and pray for the greedy and wicked human intent not to interfere with this success that is already established. Because if eventually any of these authorities die at the moment, then we have to start over the whole process. Pray that these people, the aggrieved factions, should not go into extremes of consulting herbalists just to ensure they remove whosoever is a threat to them to take over disbursement. Everyone is carried along. We don't need to bring down another fellow before we can rise. We can all collaboratively share this divine will, this free money, without taking anyone's life, without making enemies, without offending anybody or hating anybody. We do not appear in the grant ecosystem with enemies. Why do we want to inherit or depart with enemies? Pray for there to be true reconciliation between the UAAG and the AGPGN. There's no need criticizing the peace statement of the All Grant Pressure Group president. He meant what he said. Why should people be thinking he wasn't genuine? We are all humans. We err. There are things that are purely out of our control. But despite what happens, we are all galvanizing towards a definite successful end. Disbursement is already here with us. For the first time in the history of Nigerian grant ecosystem, this standing generation will become beneficiaries of such life-altering money being pumped into their accounts. We are just too lucky. God is really with us. Thank God we are here. Nothing on earth, no man activity will upset this God will for us. Our prayer is everyone should allow themselves to be used as a vehicle by God to the manifestation of His will on the masses. Any moment from now, there is going to be an update from those activities that started last week, and I'm going to bring it to your knowledge immediately we have the access to this information. Subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. Hence, when we publish this content, you will be immediately notified. Thank you for being here in Om Juliet TV. Bye.